our podcast. Not. This is the follow-up to the Can I Borrow Your Car book called Why Should I Refer to You? And when you really think about it, that's the question that kills most predictable referral systems because you have to get that answer right with your referral source. And that answer's also got to work when your referral source talks to your potential prospect. And so that's what this podcast is about. It's about straight talk. I've been doing this for longer than I care to admit, almost 30 years, published a couple books on referrals and do some referral stuff all over the country. I have guests on the program, and today's guest is very dangerous for me. Because John not only knows where the skeletons are buried, in some cases, he gave me a shovel.
This is true.
So John and I have been involved in multiple different referral situations together in multiple different roles. And currently, he is the king of the expanding retainer for me, um, meaning he gets a bigger retainer for me all the time. And it's totally worth it. John's a stone cold expert in marketing, a fabulous human being, and a proud West Virginia.
Absolutely.
I was going to say
Without,
I don't know if resident's the right word.
I was going to say it seemed like there was something that you wanted to add to that, but I wasn't sure where you were going.
Well, my inherent North Virginia prejudice was coming. Like I was going to go straight grease man. I decided not to.
Yeah,
No,
it's probably a good idea.
kids might be honest. So John, introduce them a little bit. Tell everybody what you do, and try not to give away too many secrets about me.
I'll do my best. I appreciate it, Mike. Thank you. As Mike mentioned, John Lusher. I own the Social Buzz Lab, a digital first marketing agency located here in Roanoke. Have owned it for a little bit over 5 years now. Have been in the arena of marketing for almost 15 years at this point in time. Before that, I was in direct business to business sales, something else that Mike and I have in common. We schlepped around the state of Virginia trying to sell copiers. And let me tell you, once you sell copiers, you can sell anything.
Yeah,
So
and our
decided I would
wives are
much
proof. And our wives are
exactly.
proof.
Yeah, exactly. Decided I would much rather be in marketing and working in marketing than just in direct sales, and I've been doing that for quite a while. I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. Nowadays, of course, as the saying goes, it's mostly digital, mostly online communities. But it's still a lot of fun just to see what a business can do and how they can approach marketing. So to me, it's still a lot of fun. So I intend to keep doing it for quite a while.
Cool, man.
Mm.
So, as from one copier guy to another, nothing beats a referral, right?
Exactly.
Like when you
Absolutely.
when you cold call for a living, you learn to appreciate the value of a referral. So
100%.
when you look at your career, and you and I are both old enough and have known each other long enough that we don't need to ascribe too many qualifying factors like years. When you look at your career, what's been your referral experience? The good, the bad, the ugly.
Oh, well, luckily, uh, I'm thankful to say that there's been a lot more good than bad and ugly. But there again, going back to the world of copier sales, and even past that point, I worked in kind of advanced within the industry, so to speak, and worked in computer networks, telephone systems, things of that nature from a sales perspective. And it's funny because if I had to pinpoint where any of the, or maybe the majority of the bad and the ugly occurred, it was during those times. Not so much now that I've been in marketing. Because back when I was selling telephone systems, computer networks, uh, was a member of a couple of networking groups, shall we say. And it was really a challenge because I could easily get up, describe what our company could do and did do for other companies. And, even in private one-on-one chats, could drill down further and really describe to a T exactly everything that we did. Translating that into people being able to properly pass, give, suggest, throw at me a referral that meant something was like pushing a boulder uphill. And I think that the challenge wasn't in the industry that I was in being so complicated, because here's the bottom line: if you deal with business owners or businesses, all of them have a telephone system, all of them have computers. Kind of simple from that standpoint. So it wasn't a complicated industry. However, one thing that you know and that I learned early on, it's not the industry that you're in, it's the people around you that you're talking to that you are hoping will be potential referral sources. Because I got to the point with one group of people that I talked to, because this company, in addition to computer networks, we did um, voice and data cabling, the wires that run into the walls that hook everything up. I literally got to the point of saying, if you see dirt being moved on a commercial property, that's a great referral. How general can you get? So I think sometimes the bad and the ugly referrals are our own faults because we don't describe and really say this is what we're looking for. We don't educate them properly. But I also think sometimes it's just who we're talking to. There are just some people, no matter how hard they try, they're just not great at giving referrals. They're great at passing a name along or thinking in their mind, this is going to be great. Not so much. It turns out to be not a great referral.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's it's real talk, and there's a lot we could unpack there, but we're not going to. The next question, just kind of
Mhm.
getting taking the reality that there are always challenges with the referral process, always,
Mhm.
because human beings are involved, right? And
Right.
fundamentally, if people want to have a slightly easier time
Mhm.
contextualizing it, as in why you probably shouldn't be in a referral group, for example,
Mhm. Yep.
um, check out my book, Can I Borrow Your Car?
Mhm.
Um, John, when you first heard about this podcast title, and you did early on,
Yep.
what came to mind when you thought of this podcast title being about why should I refer you?
Well,
Other than Mike's a butthead.
no, the first thing that comes to mind when I hear that is, how can I educate someone to best refer me? Because when it comes down to it, and this is the way that I always looked at it whenever I got what I thought was a bad referral or just one that just didn't work out, whether it's bad or whatever the case may be. The way I always looked at it is, okay, what could I have done differently to educate that person? Because typically it falls into one of two or three categories, in my opinion. Either that person didn't fully grasp what was a good referral for me, or they're just lazy and they're just trying to, here you go. Here's your referral. God bless you, or whatever the case may be. So it falls into one of two or three things. So I always looked at it as, what could I have done better, done differently? So when I heard the title, I'm like, okay, an opportunity to show how I would educate somebody on referring
Yeah, it's really interesting because
me.
one of the great challenges with referral marketing is a lot of people that benefit from it and need it desperately have never
Hmm.
had any kind of professional sales training. So
Hmm. True.
they tend to look at a buyer's journey or a sales process as being comprised primarily of the transaction, right? And
They
so
do. Hmm.
that's one of the big problems with, why should I refer you? The reason I invented that title and the reason why it's going to
Hmm.
be a book coming up in 2025 is because it gets to all the factors. So like one of the factors that's involved is why should I refer you, and when should I refer you? And this is
Exactly.
where this is why number one, for people listening, John is my marketing guy. And
Hmm.
that's because he speaks referrals and marketing and
True.
sales. Um, but when you look at it, most people are trying to get referrals for the least significant amount of time in a prospect's life. That brief moment,
Hmm.
if
True.
it ever occurs, that brief moment that a business owner or a decision maker is
Hmm.
in the market for what you do and
Hmm.
doesn't know someone else already, right?
Exactly.
And
Yep.
so that's honestly, that is why so many people get bad referrals. Number one,
Hmm.
they're not worth referring
Hmm.
when the prospect's not buying. They don't have the
Exactly.
type of relationship or the type of value add beyond what they sell
Hmm.
to make it worth me risking a meeting with one of my multi-million dollar clients when they're
Exactly.
not buying, right?
Right.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah, that's when you get down to it. So here's my question. You ready? Let's
Yep. I'm ready.
take it even deeper.
Okay.
And let's just say you've got 20 plus years of experience with referrals.
Yep.
Let's be really conservative and say it's 20.
20 is a nice round number.
Yeah, I like it better than the other number. So, John, from your perspective, and you have
Hmm.
taught people referral stuff in the past,
Hmm.
you've been working with me for a long
Hmm.
time.
True.
What makes someone worth referring to? How do
The,
they answer that question? Why should I?
well, for one thing, I'm not going to refer to someone unless I really get to know them. And I don't mean that, we go on vacation together or we play golf together half a dozen times before I refer them. But I need to know the person, kind of what they're made of, their character. I also need to know how they conduct business. Because otherwise, and this is the thing, and you and I both know this, if I refer you to someone, it's my reputation that's on the line, not yours initially, mine. Because here's what happens if it goes south. Uh, the person that I refer you to, they're not going to complain to Mike. But boy, will I hear about it. Or the flip side of that coin, which is the worst case scenario, I never hear about it. But boy, do they remember it. So before I refer someone, there has to be that level of trust. There has to be, I need to know how you conduct business, how you take care of your clients. The fact that you do take care of your clients and you follow up and you follow through and you take care of issues or whatever the case may be. If I don't know that, I'm definitely not going to refer you because it's like you're bringing someone into your family that you really don't know. And you and I both have been at this a while, and we've learned from the best and worked with the best. And one of our dear friends who's no longer with us, she and I referred business to each other over the years. But
Literally
that's
the best natural networker ever.
yeah, 100%, no, hands down.
I can't even
And
say her name. I almost started crying.
but once I got to know her, it was like, oh, this is a no brainer. I mean, I could literally pick up the phone, call her, and refer her to anyone because I never, ever had to worry about it. I didn't have to ask about it. I didn't have to second guess it. Once I passed it off to her and or made the introduction, I was out. Didn't
The
even
only
have to cross
the
my
only,
mind.
the only thing with her, you just never wanted to be a passenger in the car with her.
Yeah, that's a true statement. That's a true statement.
Kimberly, I'm a
She could drive somewhere faster than anybody I've ever known in my
dude. So just some brief interlude.
life.
We're talking about a dear friend of ours, Kimberly, um, who effing cancer stole from us.
Absolutely.
Um, anyways, there's a road that goes from Floyd, Virginia to Rocky Mountain. Actually, Boone's Mill. Is it Boone's? I
Yep.
think it's Boone's Mill.
It's Boone's Mill, I think. Yep.
It's the Moonshine Trail.
Hmm.
I had the great misfortune of going with her from Floyd, I think it'd have been better from Boone's Mill up, but coming down from Floyd,
Mhm.
which is 1,000 vertical feet to Boone's Mill,
Mhm. It was an experience.
like I've been 150 miles an hour on a motorcycle and not been as scared as I was with Kimberly. And she was laughing at me the whole time and saying things that weren't very nice about my masculinity. But
I'm sure.
I miss her. I miss her a lot.
Absolutely.
So when you're looking at this, what makes someone worth referring to? I think one of the highlights, and this is if you're listening to this podcast or YouTube or whatever,
Mhm.
number one, it's only happening because John helps me. So know that. So if it's good, throw John some business. But number two, I want you to understand that some of the temptations that might have happened in your brain would be like, well, that's not
Mhm.
fair. Like John's telling me I got to be like I'm part of the family, and he's giving me all these
Mhm.
demands. I would encourage you to ask yourself, why doesn't he get to determine what the standards for him referring are? Because I'm
Mhm.
sure you have yours. Secondly, John has moved past the place in his career where he's interested in a high volume of non-valuable introductions, right? And so if
Exactly.
you're listening to this and you're a member referral group, you're probably under some type of pressure to produce a certain amount of referrals, which is why
Mhm.
I used to leave the referral group. Um,
100%.
and there's more reasons. I wrote an article about it. You can look it up on LinkedIn. But realistically, at a certain point, as you become more successful, which is our goal for this, right? Referrals need to migrate, they need to scale along with you. And so
Mhm.
as you have a more mature business and you start to have complexity of running the business in addition to selling and servicing,
Mhm.
referrals have to evolve as well. And that's really what I thought I heard you saying, John. Am I on the right
Yep.
track for that?
Yeah, no, you are on the right track. And I think the person that is passing the referral, to tag off of what you said, has every right to be careful because it's like you, again, it's like you're bringing somebody into your family. Because I look at the people that are my clients as an extended family. I do what I need to take care of them. If there's an issue, I get back to them right away. Well, I expect the same and probably more from someone that I'm going to refer in there. Because back to what I was saying, it reflects on me more so than it does this new person coming in. And even if most clients would say, "Oh, don't worry about it. Mistakes happen. It's not that big of a deal." Yeah, they're saying that, but at the same time, I don't think that's truly what they think. So you have to be careful before you bring that person in, and it's a way of making sure that the relationship that is there is solid, and you're kind of transferring some of that relationship over to this new person that you're bringing
Totally. I have lots of stories about referring clients and getting referrals from clients have something go wrong and then
in.
not getting another referral ever again, even though there's
Absolutely.
and that's really important to
And
understand. Good.
I was going to say, and did they tell you why you weren't getting any more referrals from them?
Yes. Yeah. They said because of
Okay.
that one bad experience. Now, mind you,
Hmm.
in all of the cases with me, these were not massive errors of
Right.
judgment. These were follow through issues. But
Hmm.
like, here's what's really important. And John, I think you hit it earlier. Like, not everyone is going to be successful or comfortable referring.
That's
And so
true.
a big part of this process of answering the question, why should I refer to you? It's
Hmm.
absolutely critical when you've got that one person out of
Hmm.
10 who, number one, psychologically is inclined toward giving.
Right.
Number two is in a position of influence and resources to be
Hmm.
able to refer you your ideal clients. Referrals
True.
should only be proactively used to get you clients that move the needle. Let the
True.
accidental layups just happen. Like
Sure.
let those come to you. Don't train
Hmm.
people on how to give you layups. Train
Right.
people on how to find you three pointers, right?
Absolutely. Because the layups will happen no matter what.
Yeah, like if you stick around long enough, you're going to get referrals, unless you're an
Hmm.
a-hole, and then that's on you. Okay,
That's
like
true.
I mean, some people should not be thinking about referrals. It doesn't mean they're bad people, but
Hmm.
they're just not psychologically inclined to get the
Hmm.
results out of this. That's why, like John I'm a referral guy, but John's a great marketer. He works with a lot of clients that either don't have the time because of
Hmm.
their business model or don't have the psychological inclination to do the sales.
That's
And so
true.
they outsource business development to John,
Hmm.
right? So
Yep.
when you look at that, so let's without using names
Okay.
and without talking specifically about joint experiences
Hmm.
that we've had with people that disappointed us, right? Can you provide some general examples of some people that specifically wanted you to refer them, had
Hmm.
the gusto to ask you, but
Hmm.
didn't give you a good reason, and what did you say?
Yes. The short and quick answer is yes. Well, and the the persons, and I'll say plural because depending on the conversation, it could be one, it could be many. Um, it's not that I didn't think their business or the service that they provided was not valuable, but the people in question were very transactional. And it was something that you could easily tell how transactional they were. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, if that's easy for me to tell, then that's the way they're going to be with whoever I refer them to. It's a transaction. And they're trying their best just to get to that transaction and to wrap that transaction up versus building a long-term relationship with a client. Because as we know, there are some clients that you start working with, the transaction is complete, and that's it. There are other clients that you start working with, the transaction's complete, and then there's another transaction and another one. And it just continues because you start building that relationship. But you can tell people that are only in it for that transaction. And on the surface, if that works for them, God bless them. Good luck to you. Good luck to you.
That's because we're
However,
Southern. God bless.
that's their bless their hearts.
Yeah.
However, that doesn't mean that I'm going to take a step and bring you in and introduce you to my best clients. And it's funny, but going back to the example with Kimberly, I brought her into what at that time was probably my largest client. I did over $1 million a year with them, but I was able to bring her in, make the introduction, and I never had to ask either Kimberly or the client about it because I knew. Now, flip that coin around to somebody that is transactional, I would have been scared shitless that they were going to screw something up, they were going to say the wrong thing, or they were going to be so transparent with that transactional aspect of how they did business that the client wouldn't want to work with them. And I get that. I understand that. So
Yeah, totally. I mean, recently, like, so what John's highlighting, and it's covered in the book, and you already know this if you're listening, the
mm-hmm.
person giving the referral has the most to lose, period.
100%, without
Period.
a doubt.
And so what I advocate, and John does as well, because he has to, because I'm a client. But what I advocate is no matter what role you take, whether you're the person giving a referral, the person
Mm-hmm.
receiving a referral, or you're the person being referred as a
Mm-hmm.
prospect, that you should operate within a risk mitigation communication system. And
Absolutely.
the reason is like when I'm being sold to by referral,
Mm-hmm.
I'm having 3x referral conversations as a buyer. When I'm
Yeah.
referring, I'm having
Mm-hmm.
3x because I follow up with everyone. I just
Mm-hmm.
finished talking right before we recorded this podcast with a really cool guy. He's a business broker in Charlotte. He's
Mm-hmm.
referred to me by an organization that I love, that you know exactly what I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about.
Yep.
And it was great. As a half an hour, my entire goal was to make the organization look great, to deliver massive
Mm-hmm.
value to him. Also to let him know about a way that he could buy something from me because that was the way it was set up.
Right.
But yeah, but the end of it, I said, hey, like I have a request of you if this was valuable. He goes, that was
Hmm.
great. Totally worth my time. I said, my request is that you call or email back my friend John at this
Hmm.
organization and let him know if this was worth your time.
Absolutely.
And
Yep.
he says, wow. I said, yeah, that I said that James, that's the heart of this system
Hmm.
is not only delivering communication to mitigate risk, because the
Hmm.
more open and transparent your communication process is, the more the person that's going to meet your client knows that you are got your hands on the wheel and that
Yep.
you're watching what happens, right? The more likely not only that nothing goes wrong, but that way I get the benefit. Like, so I
Hmm.
just recently referred John
Yep.
through a client of mine to a
Hmm.
client of theirs and multi-million dollar
Hmm.
business involved,
Hmm.
which is pretty dangerous, right? Like it's
Hmm.
we're
It
a
is.
couple generations down. How involved was I?
You weren't. I kept you. I had you involved, copying you on the email, the introduction email to the contacts at the referral. And after I spoke with them the first time, and actually after I spoke with them this week, you were the first person that I called or sent a message to saying, "Hey, it went great. Here's what's going on." But you were not involved whatsoever. You actually said, as we were setting up the first meeting, you texted me. You said, "I don't need to be in that meeting." I said, "No, we're just copying you on the email so you know what's going on." But see, that's the way. That's the way that again that I was taught to operate, and it's not something that somebody necessarily had to teach me from a referral standpoint. But I was taught that okay, you communicate and over communicate with the person that brought you in. It's like the old saying, you dance with the person that brought you. And it's the same thing. I'm going to keep you up to date with what's going on because you brought me in. Not that it's not that you don't care, but it's not directly putting the money in your pocket. So you're kind of removed a little bit, but it's the professional thing to do
Yeah.
no matter what. So
And number one, the this is not the first time I referred John, right?
true. Nope,
We
that's true.
worked together for a long time.
Hmm.
Uh, and but John is doing what I need, which is communicating with me the entire way because like I've got a lot to lose right now. If
Hmm.
this goes really well, my client's got a lot to gain. This could be amazing. Who knows? It could
Hmm.
circle around. But
Absolutely.
so you knew this was going to happen. Every podcast guest knows this is going to happen. So we're going to get to it, John.
Hmm.
Now, we have exited the safe zone in the conversation.
Oh
And,
boy.
and if anyone knows me, like they should be the hair should
Be
be right,
afraid. Be
right?
very afraid.
So John Lusher, Social Buzz Lab, why do you
Hmm.
believe you are worth referring to?
What a great question.
Yeah, look, I think you halfway mean that.
I do. No, I do. And it's not just because of the beautiful bald head either. Um,
Right.
it's because I, the approach that I take is when you refer me into your client, your friend, someone that you have a relationship with, I treat it as something special. And the reason that I do that is because I'm a guest. It's like you said, okay, you need a place to sleep tonight. My house is full, but you can stay at my friend's house. I'm a guest. When I go in to work with that company or I go in to speak with that person, I'm a guest in their business. I'm a guest in their home. And I'm going to treat it as such because I will never forget how I got there. And to me, it's how you approach the overall process. I would communicate back with you. I would treat it as such a special occasion because it's not my house, it's not my business, it's yours. But I would treat it that way because that's A, the right thing to do, and B, to the person that I've been referred to, it shows them that Mike has their best interest at heart by bringing in someone that will take it seriously and treat it with the respect that it deserves.
Yeah, I love it. When you think about it, there's a lot more answers, and we're going to dive into a little bit, but that's a perfect
Hmm.
answer. Like fundamentally, why should I refer you has multiple layers. And the first layer,
Hmm.
you have to check the box on what John just said, which is
Hmm.
paraphrase, I have to know you're a safe driver.
100%.
Like,
That's a great way to say it.
yeah.
Yep.
Like, and I always tell people when I refer, and I didn't
Hmm.
tell it to you this time, we're way past that.
Oh,
But
true.
like when I tell when first time I refer somebody and maybe the second or third, I go, I just
Hmm.
want to be really clear.
Hmm.
I'm referring you a client of mine or a client of a client of mine.
Hmm.
I want them back. I don't want any scratches. I don't want any McDonald's wrappers on the back seat, and I don't want any
Hmm.
questionable stains anywhere. I want it
Which
back.
is the whole point of can I borrow your car?
Correct. Right. So that's level one. Right. Now,
Hmm.
let's get not too wonky because you and I are professional salespeople, but that answer
Hmm.
changes depending upon where the prospect is in the buying journey. Would you agree?
No, no, I would agree. Absolutely. Yeah, it
So
does.
so from your perspective, when a prospect is not in the market but is
Hmm.
ideal, what are some of the reasons that you have been able to give referrals? So, for example,
Hmm.
just I'm going to use you as an example. The
Hmm.
referral that we are talking about in this podcast
Hmm.
episode is based upon the fact that a client of mine talked about a client of his who is building a
Hmm.
lifestyle company
Hmm.
that is actually aware of and looking to model the
Hmm.
success of a lifestyle company that John has worked with on a national level and
Hmm.
has all the chops for. And it was the it was the easiest layup ever.
It was a layup for you. So
Well,
absolutely.
for my client, who's a financial
Hmm.
advisor, I said, John worked with X. And he went, Oh, I
Hmm.
know that company. Oh, they love to meet him. When he told
Exactly.
them about it. So
Hmm.
like so when you look at it, it I think one of the answers at the top of the funnel could be, hey, even though you're not in the market for a
Hmm.
marketing person, like if you are being introduced as someone that's worked with a peer in the business
Hmm.
or someone at the next level, I find that that is a reason worth introducing you because
Absolutely.
they want to know who you are. So, in your experience, what are some of the reasons that you've been able to get people that you referred to meetings with key decision makers when the decision maker wasn't in the market?
Well, even if the decision maker isn't in the market, if they've been in business for any length of time, or especially if they've worked with various people in various organizations for any length of time, they're smart enough to know that having a conversation with someone that may be useful down the road is smart on their part. Because even if I'm not in the market today, you may be a great connection that either A can help me 6 months or next year, or you may be enough of a connection that you can be a catalyst in some way to move that time frame in a little bit, to do something for us now that ultimately leads to something else. So I think even if that even if there's not something that's going to close this year in the next 6 months, that's okay. You're getting in there and you're kind of planting that seed to where that person knows, A, well, I've got somebody that I can turn to, and B, Mike referred John in there, so Mike knows what he's talking about as well. And to me, it's a way that you start building that relationship, even if there's no transaction that's going to take place in the near future. So I think it's
Yeah,
important, and I think it can help long term if you approach that the right way.
yeah. I mean, when you get down to it, and this is where a lot of referral people fail, they look at
Hmm.
referrals as deals. They look at referrals as deals, and they measure the
That's true.
success. They measure their success based upon what percentage of initial introductions result in sales. And
Hmm.
I hate to tell you, but you're an amateur and you're not a safe driver,
That's true.
right?
And you're not a safe driver.
Well, you're a referral predator, right?
Yeah,
You're
that's
just
true.
you're there to deals. Like what I'm always interested in, and I've got a very specific target market that has evolved significantly over the last year. What I'm
Hmm.
always interested in is meeting owners of registered independent advisory firms that have
Hmm.
more than 10 advisors and are completely independent. I take
Yep.
introductions to all types of financial advisors, but those are the
Hmm.
people I really love meeting. And the reason is
Absolutely.
I can always give them something of value without charging
Mhm.
them. Because here's what I've discovered, and everyone listening to the podcast should just stop for a second and hear me. It's so much easier to do business with someone you've already met,
Oh, absolutely.
right?
100%.
And
Yes,
so
yes.
if you take anything away from this podcast, it's that referrals work at every stage of the buyer's journey, and they can also work after the sale to help with
Mhm.
remediating buyer's remorse and to
Yep.
help you get more referrals later, right? They are
One
not just
agreed.
yeah, they're not just deals, right?
Well, and see, that goes back to if you're treating it as a transaction, once that transaction is over, oh, great, I made the sale. Now what? Because you treated it as a transaction. Versus if you're building a relationship that you want to be long term, even once the transaction has happened, you're not looking at it that way. You're looking down the road. You're looking, how can you help this person? And that's one of the things that, and you and I both know this from experience. You get referred into someone, you do a great job for them, and then you are able to refer someone else in there.
Hot
And it's
potato.
like, yeah, exactly. And that is a great feeling because what ends up happening, and we know this from being in sales, if you have someone that you're working with or that's a client, and you can be that resource to bring in the best of the best people that you really trust, that client is not going to call anyone else because they have no need to.
Yeah, that's an advanced concept, and I just want to
Mm-hmm.
break it down in a slightly different way as we're winding this up. So what John's really sharing with you is one of the ways to be known as someone worth referring to
Mm-hmm.
is if you've got a powerful network comprised of high trusted people. Because here's the
Mm-hmm.
deal. When I go to meet that business owner, if they're not in the market for what I'm selling, they're in the
Mm-hmm.
market for something.
Absolutely.
They're in the market for
100%.
something. And if they're the right prospect, number one, I don't have to come in there with commission breath looking to make my sale, right?
Commission breath. Love
Right?
it. Yep.
You know it, right? That's
Yep.
from old cold call days. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm just there to serve. I'm there to build the relationship of the person that introduced us. And one of the things that's very powerful, there's a lot of nuance to this, but one of the things that's very powerful
Mm-hmm.
is when you give your report to the person who referred you, it's like, hey, I sat down with John. It was a really
Mm-hmm.
great meeting. That's a great referral. He's not in the market for what I do right now, but holy moly, he will be an amazing prospect.
Absolutely.
One of
Mm-hmm.
the things I discovered was John actually needs some HR consulting. I
Mm-hmm.
mentioned to him that I knew somebody, Jody.
Right.
Is
Mm-hmm.
it cool that I introduced Jody, or is there somebody else you would want to introduce as
Mm-hmm.
well? And like all of
Absolutely.
a sudden, that person that referred you is like, holy moly, you brought back the car better.
Exactly.
And
And
that's the
having
real
that
concept.
powerful network is huge.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
yeah, it's insane. There's a lot to this. I don't want people to get intimidated because
mm-hmm.
you don't have to get everything right. The first step is to be a
Sure.
safe. First step
Yeah.
is to focus on a clear communication process that you can execute
Mm-hmm.
well. So, John, we're about to wind it all up, and we have one
Mm-hmm.
last question. And
Oh, awesome.
the last question is, if someone was going to ask you for your number one piece of advice about referrals, even if we've already
Mm-hmm.
talked about it, what is your number one piece of advice for people that really want to get the benefit of what referrals can offer them?
I think the number one thing that I would say, yes, you have to build your own network. You have to have a deep bench as far as your own network. And the other thing that I would say with referrals, treat them as the precious commodity that they are. And if somebody refers you into a business, you get in there and you talk with them or a business owner, and it doesn't go the way that you intended it to go back and talk to the referral source and sit down and just break it down. Say, I'm not sure what your expectations were, but here's what I came away with. But I wanted to come back to you because this is your relationship and just let you know. And if you do that, you're treating that referral source and the referral itself as the precious thing that it is, but you're also communicating back to the source. And not every referral is going to be a great referral. Try as you might, try as the referral source might, something could go wrong. Things change. All of a sudden, they don't need whatever it is that you're selling. But at the same time, that line of communication and treating it as a precious commodity, I think is key. I really do.
Yeah. I just to wind it up, you reminded me of something Victor Clark, a mutual friend of ours, always used to say, right? And
Jack,
Victor's a very direct man, very
Jack,
smart guy.
Jack
And
and Ginger,
oh man, yes, that and I'm surprised his liver still exists. But
America's favorite couple.
Victor would talk about referrals when he was referred, when somebody was talking about introducing him, he says, look, I
Mm-hmm.
will jump in front of a truck for your client.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yep,
if anything goes wrong with this process, I will jump in front of the truck. You will not lose
absolutely.
this client. And he got more business because, I mean, number one, he's a man of deep integrity, and he absolutely walked the
Mm-hmm.
talk on that. Walked the talk
Absolutely.
on that big time. But it made it really simple for people to understand he was a safe driver, right?
Mm-hmm.
That he was
Exactly.
going in there, treating it like that precious commodity. Well,
Mm-hmm.
John, I just want to thank you. This is the inaugural episode. You're first, right?
I
And
love being first.
yeah,
Got to be
uh,
first.
we'll
Got
just
to be
move it
last.
on. Just move it on. But I really appreciate it. For everybody listening and watching, we respect your time. Really appreciate it. Questions, comments, concerns, we love it. There will be all
Mhm.
kinds of show notes and other stuff that John and his team helped me with because I'm just not able to do any of it. Like,
That's okay.
no, knowing that something needs to be done is not the same as getting it done. So,
True.
with that, thanks everybody. Remember, be a safe driver. At the end of the day, if you get to be known within your own individual network as someone
Mhm.
that will always bring the client back in better condition, you are answering the question why I should refer you successfully. Thanks and have
Exactly.
a great day.
Thank you.